I'm a police officer.
Look, they pay you $162.39 a week just to look at bodies. Why can't you look at this one?
Why can't you look at it for yourself?
But don't you push me, boy!
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
What kind of people are you?
In the heat of the night.
Tonight's episode, 1967's In the Heat of the Night.
That's right. That's right.
You know what he did? He put another record on.
You need dumb people in horror movies.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you saw the intro, you know we're talking about 1967's In the Heat of the Night, movie by Norman Jewison, Sidney Poitier, Rod Steiger, who goes on to win Best Actor for that year's Academy Awards. I'm not here alone. I'm going to talk about this movie in a little bit as far as a summary and introduce my cohorts in this case. A northern policeman coming from Philadelphia finds his way in Mississippi in the midst of a murder investigation that's going on. And he is entwined in the going-ons of this small town that he really doesn't want to be a part of. He hates, and yet because of his personality, which seems to clash with that of the local sheriffs, a friendship develops in sorts, or mutual respect at the very least, at the end of it all. Coming in to help me tonight is the next doctor. Okay. Coming in tonight are both of them at the same time. Somebody's enthused. Is the next doctor and the executive consultant. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Excellent.
I am excellent original.
I guess I'm extra tasty crispy then.
Okay, KFC.
Tonight we're doing 1967. As I said, Philadelphia cop finds his way in Mississippi, deep in the South, after visiting family. And of course, this is 2 years after the modern civil rights bill is passed in 65. Yet and still, we find that things haven't progressed that much in the Deep South, especially when it involves color. But they have to get past that in order to solve a murder investigation, especially when that black cop is the one with the expertise to solve that case. But can he overcome his own ego? Gentlemen, what did you think about this movie?
Well, I'll jump in here. I had never seen this movie before. Obviously, I know about Sidney Poitier. I'd seen him in other things, but I had never seen this one. Only thing I knew of this movie, which I forgot about it until it happened, was the slap, or the slap back, I should say, because I had seen a clip of that, but I had forgotten that it was in this movie until I got to that point. This was a very interesting movie. The sheriff, Rod Steiger, I think his acting was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. He really drew you in as to like the sign of the times, how things were, and especially for the police of the time. And I think for him to, it was a lot of emotion that was elicited in me watching this, not just his performance, but everyone else's. And for him to be able to really bring you in like that, shows real acting chop. His character, I think, is interesting because he, it's kind of, maybe that's just the way it was. Like every time they had a suspect, he was just like, okay, this is the person. Let me find a way to make sure it's the person, like to make it the person. You know, how the thing you like to quote from Denzel, make it make sense. Let me just make this person the one this is going to be. When they first got Virgil, no other question than how'd you do it? Fess up. When they got the runaway, no other, hey, he was running and he had the wallet. That's it. When it was the officer, he caught him in a lie. He deposited a lot of money. That's it. And I don't want to say that he was a bad cop, but he was certainly lazy, it seemed. Like he was trying to take the easiest route. But at the same time, it's alluded to that he's definitely not a detective by when they were all together, like him and I think it was the mayor and some other looked like influential people. They were saying they didn't bring him in for his detective skills, or really his homicide skills. So, whatever was going on with that, he's not, the most he's not the one that's going to really be, trying to find out all the details of things that happen. He's just trying to make the things stick to the person. And it's a small town. I get it. Small town, nothing really happens. Something big happens, especially to someone that was going to make something even bigger happen. You're trying to close this case. But I guess he was just in a bad situation. But I think also he's a really good read. The mayor, he plays the game. The mayor was like, hey, we've got someone that can help. He saw it as a resource because, he's the mayor. He's thinking, they talk about how if you're a CEO in a company, you think differently. He's the mayor. He's thinking differently. Black, white, whatever. First, this is a resource. Then, sign of the times, listen, if he doesn't pan out, it was his fault anyway. The wife wanted, the widow at this point, wanted you to keep him. So either way, we straight. Or at least I'm straight, because later on, when stuff hits the fan after the slap, it's like, hey, now your job's on the line, Chief. So he was really, taking care of himself, but at the same time, he was playing the game. And I like how the Chief was like, okay, I'll try to play the game. And he read Virgil. He was like, listen, I know you don't like me. I know you don't like this place, but I know you got a chip on your shoulder. And I know you're going to do what you need to do because that's just the person that you are. So come on over here and get used. And he got in the car. He stayed. So it just shows, even though he wasn't the detective, he was able to really read people when it came down to it. Mm-hmm. And again, it just goes to show, goes to Rod's performance, how well he portrayed that character. And that's really all I've got to say. I mean, and of course, the smack. Man, that smack was like, I felt that. That was pardon me. We can edit that out. I felt that smack. When he questions him, you could see he was getting under his skin. He comes in, and this is the good thing about Virgil. He knows where he is. He plays along. Oh, you got flowers? Okay, let me buddy you up a bit and then drop this bomb. And he dropped that bomb, and the guy came up and smacked him. He was like, "Oh yeah, I could smack. You know, I'm white, you're black. I could smack you." But the immediate, it wasn't even a thought. The immediate smack back was priceless. Mwah! That was chef's kiss right there. I love that. And his character, Virgil's character, and I think it also spoke to Rod's, the police chief's character, because as the mayor talked about later, if it was at any other point or any other person, any other black guy, he would have shot him dead right there and claimed self-defense. Oh man, 1967, cops claiming self-defense for something that's not for self-defense. I guess there's nothing new under the sun, baby, because that hasn't changed. Anyway, those are my thoughts right now on the movie.
I think some things have changed, and it is the main thing that's changed to me. He had $162.39 in his pocket, and they were like, "Hey, where'd you get that money from? That's a lot of money." And I'm thinking in my head, "Hey, that's a gas tank full of filling." Yes, I would love to have $162 in my pocket. Hey, truth be told, I don't have it right now. But it's amazing to me how much inflation is. Pay attention, President. Now, that being said,
I like just jump in there because I asked Google about the conversion. $160 a week is about $1,600 a week today.
That's amazing.
So that's a lot of money.
But I already knew the movie was at a time of money differences when he paid for whatever food he got at the beginning with the dime, right? So I don't care if it was a slice of pie, slice of cake, or a raisin. You ain't paying again nothing for 10 cents. Nothing for 10 cents nowadays.
I don't even think they got 5-cent candy anymore. I think that's gone.
No, they're all gone. And pennies, they stopped making them. They're like, "I don't even want to talk to you anymore. You got pennies." Even here in my full-time job, you give us pennies. We just round it up. We don't even have to pay the pennies anymore. No more. We only deal with silver coins. What's copper? But that being said, I like playing games. I want to play a drinking game. You ready? Let's play a drinking game. Every time Mr. Tibbs was supposed to go to the train station, take a shot. Let's see who's alive. Let's go ahead and see who's alive. Because I swear, that was all his thing. Take him to the train station. Why is he at the train station? I'm on the way, boss. That's one. Two, every time I heard, "You got the wrong man. He's innocent." Man, I'll be dead in this movie, right? I like how they portrayed the character. The main character was Sidney Poitier's character. Why? Because they didn't make him seem infallible. They made him have mistakes. They made him. They showed you that he's very good at his job, and of course, you knew the whole time he was going to figure it out. Not just because it's a movie and he's the hero, but simply because of the fact that you could just tell that he's that good at his job. But he's not perfect. He made mistakes. He let his emotions get to him sometimes, which he admitted to the chief. "Hey, I thought this guy was there because I wanted my prejudice," right? You're not the only one prejudice. My prejudice wanted him to be the killer, and he's not. Something else I have to, you know what? I don't like watching movies from that time period unless it's James Bond, right? Because all I could tell is, damn, things have changed so much. Things have not changed, which Next Doctor pointed out so well on some things. And in some areas, things have changed a lot. And the money, $1,600 a week is the equivalent. So that was $162.
Man, that's some good money.
That being said, why did that girl that got pregnant look like she was in her early 30s? That's what I want to know.
You know, back then everybody is like they aged up quickly.
Say less. He brought her in there. I was like, "Is that?" I never watched it. Just like Shadi, I never watched this movie before. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, "Yo, is that his girlfriend? He's just dragging in there like a caveman." "Oh no, that's his sister." Why is he so upset? I mean, yeah, a little disappointed, but I'm thinking she's a grown woman. She can make her own mistakes. Then find out she's like 16. I'm like, wow. I'm over here thinking about to get your AARP card. Anyway, I'm going to talk more about what I like about this movie, what I dislike about this movie, because there are things I dislike. When we get to thumbs up, thumbs down, James, back to you.
All right, let me jump in here. I'm gonna piggyback on something I think that the next doctor said. Uh, Specifically, two different scenes. One when they go, and Chris mentioned this as well. One when they go to the mayor. Okay, I think that's a very important scene, and also the greenhouse scene. Now, for the times, the greenhouse scene is important because he slaps back, and that was never seen on screen before. There are other moments like that in this movie as well when he's comforting the widow, and his hand is clasped in her hand, and she's using it as support and the emotional support for a white woman. You know what I mean? And not just a poor working class white woman, but a wealthy white woman as well. That's a very important scene. And so when you look at certain movies, especially of this era, when you see when they linger on shots, because remember, these are all films, okay, a shot on film, that's important because film was expensive. So
Yeah.
that's a clue and an indicator for us as well. But I thought it was very important, and I caught that this time watching it. I had seen this movie before. It's one of my favorite movies, as you all know if you've been watching the show a long time. I do like detective and mystery movies and things like that. We have to figure out what's going on along with the characters in the movie. The other scene that I was going to talk about is when he's with the mayor, and I'm going to say the city council to whatever degree those other men are in that room. Uh, and the mayor says to the sheriff, he says, "When did you come around on that colored cop or Virgil?" I don't even know if he calls him by name, but that colored cop. And he says, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "Our last sheriff would have shot him dead the minute he slapped in the cop, and
That's
he
right.
would have claimed it was in self-defense." Now, later on, we see the sheriff, and we see Virgil in the sheriff's house. Okay, right at the culmination of the movie, and they're talking. And for the first time in the movie, for only a brief fraction, okay, and I'm gonna get to this in final thoughts as well, but we see just two men just talking. The whole point of the movie, more than the murder mystery, okay, because the movie is giving a message to the audience of its time. These two men just talking, and both of them are extremely lonely. All they have are their jobs. So it explains why this guy from a small town, Sparta, Mississippi, we don't know if he's a local boy or if he grew up in the area, whatever like that. He's quick to try and close his case because he knows, for whatever reason, whether it's because that sheriff died, that previous one, or because he was brought in because it's a new era, whatever like that, amalgam of the two, I don't know. But he knows, as he says in that scene, the town doesn't want me. I know that. And so if it's like today, and I'm guessing it's like that in your municipalities as well, you have to be voted in. So he's trying to close this case quick. He knows that there are a lot of 1,000, 500, at least 1,000, depending on how many black people can vote in that town, 1,000 jobs on the line. You know what I mean? For these people, for his town, who he does care about. And that's literally all he has. So he, from his point of view, is literally trying. I don't view it as him being lazy, but to the best of his knowledge, as he says when he's breaking it down to Virgil, these are the things I know, and it makes sense to me. It's not, hey, we need to close this case because there are jobs on the line. He has all the added pressure to him, but I never once got the impression where he was doing it lazily. And we see actively that he is following up on different leads on his own people, that and he isn't behind the time, so to speak, of what's going on in his own department. And then when Virgil is going around, like when those Klans people are trying to lynch him, he was actively following Virgil because he knew that he might be tailed by some of these people. So if he was lazy, he would have just been back and he would have found out. But we see he is very proactive. So I thought that those two scenes were very important. But the reason I brought up the greenhouse is not so much the slap, but I love, and I think I said this about Iron Man. It's not enough that you tell me a character is smart or a genius in the case of Iron Man, of Tony Stark. I love to just see it on display. The different things that they do, their attitude. There is a certain smugness when you know you're the smartest man in the room. And to Chris's point, when I think the doctor mentioned this when he was at the train station. Again, take a shot, Chris. And he says, and Rod Steiger's character says to him, we're not too dissimilar. And I know, despite the fact that you hate me, and yeah, we may be small town people and everything like that, you got it in you. You got to prove that you're the smartest man in the room. So you coming or not? And then he slow walks with those killer boots, those killer Star Trek boots on, you know what I mean? They got the same mud for like the past 5 days. And he does a little twirl with the feet, if you notice that move. And I like how Sidney Poitier plays it, and it's chewing him up on the inside because he doesn't have a retort. Nope. And he twirls that big old suitcase around. He claps his hands. It's like, he got me. You know what I mean? And then later on, he even says, I got to get him. But like you said, I was blinded by my own prejudice against Endicott. I wanted to get him because he pissed me off. But if you see how he goes in there, he told him it was Osman before, and he lets it play out, and he lets Endicott think that he's the smartest man in the room. Okay. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who from time to time you find yourself to be the smartest person in the room, you can tell when people know something and when they don't, when they're putting on airs. You know what I mean? And whether or not they're smart or not, you know that you are smarter or your knowledge in a certain area is greater than theirs. And so you let them put on the show because you're putting on the master show. You're the ringleader, or the ring master, rather. And he lets Endicott do this whole song and dance and talk about Negroes and how they're just like the orchids and everything like that. And then he looks up and he's like, did you catch that? And Steiger looks up and he's like, that was pretty good. You know what I mean? His closing piece was the slap back, you know. But the greatest person in that scene, let me just say this, was the man playing the butler, who when Endicott slapped Sidney Poitier, he said, "Oh," he was so disgusted, like, "You're better than that." I don't know why he thought he was better than that, because even when they left, he was still holding the tray, like, "You disgust me. I can't work for you anymore." And I love that Endicott turned around, he faces the camera, and he's crying. And we see that all the bravado, that we hear about in history and everything like that, of these lynch mobs and everything like that. The same with the brother at the end of the movie. It's all because that fragility, that pride. And he says, there was a time when I could have shot you. I could have had you shot. But I can't do that anymore. So now I have nothing. I can't do anything with your intelligence. I got to let you be. It's a great piece, and I love that scene. But we have to pay the bills. We got to show you what's coming up on the channel, as well as this program coming soon.
You have one last chance.
All you got to do is pick them up and drop them off.
To save their jobs.
You sure this is going to work? Just trust me. Yo, what's up, money? You got a problem? Nah, yo, hold my poodle.
From Revolution Studios.
Brittany and Tiffany Wilson. Sorry. They're new.
There is something different about the two of you.
Comes a story of two guys.
You're wearing the wrong underwear.
Who are giving undercover the ultimate makeover. White chicks.
Take a tip in Brittany.
All right, so we got White Chicks coming up. That is our next piece on this particular program, not on the channel, though. We have many different programs on this channel. Check them out, but check us out first. We want those views. I'm not going to lie to you. We're talking about 1967 in the heat of the night. We're going to our final thoughts. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Gentlemen, take it away.
Well, since $1,600 up there is muted, I guess I'll go first. Going back to the greenhouse, I think the other, because when I first saw it, the end of it, when the butler, I thought that he was shaking his head at Virgil, Sidney Poitier's character, stepping out of line like that. But I think it's a good observation that he was more so disgusted at his boss, like, oh, you're supposed to be, the head. How you just letting this happen? I'm around, I'm one of the house ones. I'm trying to keep the order, and you just letting somebody slap you. What's going on? And he didn't even offer him any of the lemonade that he had. He came all that way with the lemonade, didn't even offer the boss some lemonade. So now it makes more sense that he was ashamed of the boss because he didn't even get. I brought this lemonade for you. No, you ain't getting no lemonade. I'm bringing.
Yeah, he just took it away. He was like a parent.
Nothing for you. Stay parched and mad. So yeah, I do like that. As far as this movie, like I said, I hadn't seen it before, but from the really almost from the start, I fell in love with it. The acting was superb. The parts of the comedy, just everything, the way it played out. It's a really well done movie, and it's a shame that took so long to see it. This definitely gets, unfortunately, we don't have it anymore, but pour one out for what used to be the Everlong thumbs up, now truncated.
I was trying my hardest to figure out something I didn't like about this movie. I don't have anything, quite frankly. I enjoyed this movie from beginning to end. Throughout, the seriousness, the quirkiness, the subtle jokes they had, the acting. I thought this movie was damn near perfect. So I'm glad I got a chance to watch it. It gets a thumbs up from me.
All right, real quick. Of course, it gets a thumbs up from me. I picked it. I enjoyed this movie. Let me just talk about the scene that I said real quick earlier that I teased. When the sheriff is talking to the mayor, and he says that, and he says, the last sheriff would have just shot him dead. I think that's also an indication. I don't know how you all felt about it, that the sheriff ideologically isn't a racist. He is maybe a cultural racist. And so I thought that was very interesting because if you compare him to all the other characters in the movie that he's interacting with, his is very, very different. He uses words that would be jarring to us today and was jarring to Tibbs in 1967. But again, it doesn't bother him to admit his intelligence. It doesn't bother him to admit it, only in that he knows he's not as intelligent. And everything that he's ever seen, black people, colored people, whatever he wants to call them, don't have these opportunities, don't know these things, because he doesn't even get to know them. And in his world, that's how it is. But he doesn't think it's impossible. Whereas if you look at the older brother to that 35-year-old woman that Chris is talking about, if you look at all the other people, even the mayor, who plays it very well, but he hides it. He never even calls him by name, I don't think, Tibbs' character by name. They're all ideological racists, but the sheriff is not. Hence, you take care at the end of the movie. I thought it was great. I give it a thumbs up, 3 thumbs up.
He also carried his suitcase from the car to the train. Showed a big show of respect.
So I think it's very, very interesting. I would say more, but we're closing it out. But again, I really enjoy this movie. It's really, really good. Acting is great all the way around.
I didn't look it up. Did this win any awards?
Yeah, so it was nominated for 7 Oscars. It won 5, and Rod Steiger actually won for Best Actor. Yeah. And by the way, have you ever seen anybody chew bubblegum like him? He was phenomenal. I know we got to close it out.
That does remind me. There was one point, I can't remember where it was.
Yes.
But he spit it out. That's when I knew it was serious, because he spit out the gum for something. And I was like, oh, this is serious.
He was incredibly serious throughout this whole movie. So when he laughed, it made it even more serious. But seriously, we got to go. So for James and for the next doctor, I'm the $162.39. We'll see you next time here on Popular Review Entertainment.